Russia and the iPhone, Ted Lasso and the White House, and text message legislation. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide ensures only secure devices can access your cloud apps. It's zero trust, tailor-made for Okta. Book a demo today at kolide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. The MacVoices Live panel continues our discussion of the recent Russian proclamations regarding iPhone use. We take on the topic of the cast of Ted Lasso visiting the White House and discuss why we need text message legislation. Let's go back and let the panel do the talking. Okay, so we talked about Android, and we all laugh about that. So are they going to use Huawei phones so that the Chinese can listen in a little easier? I mean, that's. I know we're biased.
They're good buddies. They'd never do that to each other.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No,
look, your friends close, yeah.
Maybe that's why Xi's over there right now. I've got some phones for you. Putin's let me take a look at your product and see here. This is very good stuff. I like this.
What's in the trunk of your car? Look at these phones.
But joking aside, according to the article here, Russia is working on their own internal operating system for phones, based on their I think it's called Avora. Aurora. I need to look at it actually in Cyrillic to be able to pronounce it right. But I mean, this is quite frankly a push to get stuff on Russian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
North Korea did the same thing with the Red Star OS, which is basically they made it look like the Mac, but it's basically it's Linux with all kinds of hooks in it, so that if you do something that they don't like, they know about it.
That's efficient.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, though, and I'm quoting the article, interestingly, it's thought that the Kremlin believes that iPhones are more at risk from hackers and espionage than other smartphones. Now, we all know what our I'm going to speak collectively for us, what our reaction is to that, because I don't think we've seen any evidence of that. In fact, we've seen a lot of evidence to the contrary. Not that maybe it's not impossible to get into an iPhone, but it's just pretty darn difficult.
If it was easy to get into an iPhone, we wouldn't have had all of the U.S. political craziness after the San Bernardino mass shooting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, exactly, Jeff. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The company that was cracking them escapes me. I can't think of the name of it.
It was an Israeli company, I think.
Yeah.
No, but that was basically just
Celebrate.
Yeah. Good for you, Jeff. Good for you. Yeah, and Celebrate's gone, as I recall. I mean, aren't they out of business, or they got into another business?
They got bought out by somebody.
Yeah, it's Celebrate's still there under a different name.
Okay. But we haven't had any evidence that iPhones are any easier to get into now than they were then.
Probably harder.
I was going to say, I think they're even harder now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Apple is trying, Apple's taken a little bit of hit over that, a little bit of, of not letting them or letting them in or not letting them in. But at least as a company for a whole, they've stuck to their guns, and I think because of all that's happened for privacy concerns, it has gotten harder now. For the whole Russia thing, though, with their own OS, it may be a Chinese idea of it. We'd like to know what our reporters are doing and what our citizens are doing, and if everybody's on an iPhone right now, since they're so popular, we can't do that. So it may have something to do not just with outing the West or outing iPhones. It might have something to do with
surveillance.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm not paranoid.
No, never.
Well, but okay, Kyle, that's an interesting perspective. But you would think that the government officials would want the most secure things they could have, and then
That's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
Government
High-end government
yeah.
officials, government officials would have the most secure platform that's possible. But the rank and file, including people in the government that are like below the top rank and file, they want to keep their eyes on them even more than they want to keep their eyes on their own citizens, because
that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you have access to the latest SU-35 plans, and you can quickly and easily send those encrypted to someone and make a buttload of money, then there's probably a lot of people in Russia that would do that. And if you're not able to do that because the phone that you're using is constantly under some kind of surveillance, and they can see exactly where it is you're sending stuff and exactly what you have on your hard storage, then it becomes a lot harder to do those things.
Okay, so is this just all this is a rhetorical, I'm sure. Is this just complete propaganda?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. For now, but that's not to say that that Russia wouldn't like to do it, because I mean, you look at the most oppressive regimes that are out there right now, and they severely limit what their citizens can see through the internet. And whether you're talking about North Korea, whether you're talking about Iran, whether you're talking about some of the even some of the Gulf states, severely limit what you can see and what you can do on the interwebs. And if they could control it even farther, I'm sure they would.
So basically, at the end of the day, it looks like that the Russian citizens are going to get the Russian phones, but Putin, I will retain my iPhone. I like the games.
I love my phone.
I mean,
angry bits.
Yes, very good.
He'll get the good phones. Everybody else will get the ones that are
compromised,
able to be monitored by FCC, which is the Russian version of the NSA.
Okay. I thought it was a really interesting, strange thing, and the comment that throw the phones away or give them to your children. Well, I think giving them to the children is a great way to have the children grow up seeing what a superior product could be, and then they're going to want those when they grow up. But that's another discussion.
Well, we'll see what happens after Putin's gone. That isn't something that you can do overnight, because it's still a market economy, so to speak, right now in Russia. So you can't just automatically tell everybody, turn in your iPhones and turn in your older Android devices, and, this is the phone you're going to get in its place. Mm-hmm. It can't be done overnight. And by the time something like that could happen, chances are Putin won't even be there anymore, which can't happen fast enough.
Yeah. And can happen really fast when it goes down.
Yeah.
But Guy, you bring up an interesting point. The article is talking about the Kremlin banning the iPhones, not iPhones being banned in Russia. I mean, there's a certain intimation that they're encouraging folks to abandon iPhones, but they have not, as far as I can tell by this article and the ones I've read, they're not outlawing iPhones. So
they can't, because they don't have anything to replace it with yet. So I mean, before you can sit there and say, well, you can't use this product anymore, you've got to have the thing that's going to replace it. And Android, sure, they could make everybody get Android phones, but that's not necessarily going to be able to run whatever this Russian operating system is, because, I mean, let's face it, that's exactly where they want to go with it. If they can tell everybody, well, you can't use Android and you can't use iOS, you have to use this operating system that only connects up to our infrastructure, and considering that, the paranoia of the Russian government, that's exactly what they would do. But they can't, because it's not in place yet. And that's assuming that that's where they're going.
This story doesn't even say the Kremlin. You can't use it in the Kremlin. The very first paragraph says Russians working on President Putin's 2024 re-election campaign have been told that they cannot use an iPhone over espionage fears. So is that more than 100 people? I mean, his re-election campaign. I mean, we all know this is not a real election.
I was gonna say,
Right.
So that's-
anybody taking odds on that election?
Who cares what his re-election campaign is doing? This just seems like some sort of trolling, or whoever
Very well could be.
whoever's running the campaign is trying to make a name for him or herself somehow.
This ought to piss off those Americans.
Yes,
Or maybe not, probably not that so much as, probably the audience is maybe Putin. Look how,
I'm loyal to you.
yeah,
I am loyal to you, sir.
right.
Please don't kill me.
Until I'm not.
Brad in the chat room says children will be moved to Siberia in the night if they see the light with iPhones. There's a pleasant thought. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Webb?
It's a beautiful thought.
Here again, I don't want to go off on Dennis Miller. I don't want to go off on a rant here, or
Go ahead.
specifically don't want to get into the whole political discussion. But I think there's an element here of Putin really saying something against Apple, which is arguably one of the largest, not the largest traded company, and just saying, get away from Apple because it's a USA-based company and go to something else, whether it's their own. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm wondering if there's still some political element to it like that that's also at play.
If I told you how much you look like Gorbachev.
Thank you.
Well,
I don't
anyway,
have
it
to
says
say
Apple's pulled out of Russia anyway, so
that's right, because the whole Ukraine thing they pulled out.
Yeah.
That's a point I hadn't even thought about.
Yeah,
That Apple has made a very specific point of pulling
the
out
monk
in
speaks.
support of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they actually didn't really have any choice. That was kind of mandated by the U.S. government in
Still,
European allies.
Yeah.
But they did pull out.
But Cook has been very both publicly and
Oh yeah.
I mean,
very vocal. Yeah.
because of developers as well as just the human rights part of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a morality thing. Right at the base of it, that one side is right, one side is wrong, and it's not too hard to figure out which one is which.
That's
David,
why.
did you
That's why he says no more iPhones, because there's no more tech support there.
Yeah.
No Genius Bar, no iPhones.
Yeah.
No support.
We be your technical support. We be your Genius Bar.
David, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
You
Just
will
thought I'd
run
ask.
Moose and Squirrel OS.
In Mother Russia,
Yeah.
iPhone support you.
Boris and Stasha.
Oh man. Well, let's since we got the political thing going, let's just keep it going.
Oh, jeez.
Ted Lasso visited the White House. The whole cast visited the White House. I just thought this was really interesting. I mean, to be fair about it, it was for a very good cause, if you will, to promote mental health. Yeah. But I just thought this was really interesting. This was a serious coup for Apple TV Plus.
Oh yeah, and the part that really cracked me up, they actually had the reporter, the British reporter from whatever the newspaper was.
Yeah,
in the press pool.
Trent Cram from the Independent.
What is it? He came out and said, "Yes, fake journalist here," and asked this question.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And the question was about the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I missed that part.
Yeah, since Jason Sudeikis is big Kansas City.
He's from here, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought this was great. I mean, from an Apple perspective, like this, which is what we talk about, it's great. It was great to see a little bit of levity. I love the fact that they put Trent Crimm, or the actor that portrays Trent and Krim in the audience. I mean, they played it like a little skit, and then they got down to some serious messaging. But I just thought this was really, really interesting because I guess a couple days before or a day before, for those of us that are in the U.S., Kyle, they had the entire cast on the Today Show, which is not an unheard of kind of thing. But it also, I never know how much of that is promotion and what gets paid for, or whether it's, they need content so they bring in stars or whatever. But I felt like that was a coup.
Ding.
And then, then they go to the White House. So what do you mean, ding, Jim?
Well, yeah, that all the movies and TV shows, they supply guests for all the various shows. That's, it's back scratching. You very rarely see an actor on a TV show when they don't have something to promote.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, the whole cast, I mean,
and does Ted Lasso, the show, actually need it?
It's certainly not unheard of to have the whole cast. I definitely seen that before. And I think you could argue, you said it's great for Apple. It could be great for the Biden administration. Who's getting the better deal out of the publicity?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely mutually exclusive marketing here.
Oh yeah,
I mean, if it was Dr. Blah 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 talking about mental health in the White House, unfortunately, most of us would tune it out.
Yeah, we'd be asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll now cede the floor to Jeff, who was waving.
Yeah, I thought that was a wave. I thought that.
I was just saying hi to everyone.
Speaking of mental health.
Yeah.
Speaking of mental health, wait. No, keep in mind that one of the recurring themes, especially all through season 2 and now leading into season 3, is mental health, and so there are a lot of people that need to hear a message that is approachable for them about mental health awareness, and getting help when you need it, and not perceiving it as a stigma. And that's something that the Ted Lasso cast is in a really good position to help make happen. So yeah, they're on a mental health junket hitting all of the different things, and it coincided with the thing at the White House. Great. Everyone wins. And I love, I'm reticent to bring this up, but I'm going to do it anyhow. I love that the main focus of the Ted Lasso cast visit to the White House press room is that they visited the White House press room, and not that Simon Ateba flipped his lid again and was completely disrupting a press event. So, yeah, that makes me happy. Not the Simon Ateba thing, but the fact that he's not the news in this.
MacVoices is supported by Kolide at kolide.com/MacVoices. Clicking on the wrong link can cause you plenty of headaches if it's just you. But if it's your company, the possibility of clicking a wrong link is multiplied by the number of users, right along with the headaches. Your users don't mean to create a problem, but they have other things on their priority list. That's why Kolide works so well for Okta users. You can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. If a device isn't compliant and tries to log in, it can't. The user is provided with the information on what needs to be done. If they do it, great. If not, they're blocked. Immediate, helpful device compliance that secures your company. Without Kolide, there's nothing to stop an unsecure device. With Kolide, unsecure devices don't have a chance to cause issues. And this is all built to work seamlessly with Okta. Zero trust architecture and 100% device compliance. That means fewer support tickets and less frustration all around. Just what the doctor ordered. Visit kolide.com/MacVoices to learn more or book a demo. That's Kolide, KOLIDE.com/MacVoices. Kolide.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Kolide for supporting MacVoices. Whoever made the point first, and I think it was made several times, it was a win-win. For the Biden administration, for the mental health awareness, for Apple TV Plus, for Ted Lasso. It just worked.
And for people dealing with mental health. I mean, it's more approachable that way than, as Ben was saying, listen to the doctor. No, yeah, thank you. My life is already feeling like I feel right now watching you. I like a little something uplifting and enlightening. So it definitely works better that way.
Yeah. Brian says sometimes pop culture sports helps with various health initiatives. In this case, mental health. In other cases, the NFL and their Play 60 campaign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great point. I want to be real careful here. I don't think anybody would consider this a spoiler, but the first episode, as we record this, the first episode of Ted Lasso's out, and it does that. There is mention of the mental health situation, and that's as far as I want to go. I hope if that's a spoiler to anyone, I apologize, but I don't think it will be, because it was such a heavy plot point last year. But it looks like that will continue at least a little bit. So,
which is good, because in real life, it's not flipping a switch to go from I need to have help and I'm starting to work through it to, hey, I'm okay
now. Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So I'm glad that they're not treating it as mental health as just on again, off again thing. It's done now.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see. I want to paste the next story in here. This is the one where the FCC apparently is going to require cell carriers to block junk texts.
Good.
Do we think this can be successful?
No, I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I already have enough tough time blocking phone calls, let alone text.
I was going to say, look how well they're doing with spam calls.
Yeah, those robocalls are still robing on through, even over here in the Philippines. I mean, we had the same problem too with text networks over here. Mm-hmm. We just had a bill pushed through, or not a bill. It's actually with people having to register SIM cards now through the government over here because of so much spam text, just day in and day. I get through my network here, and I will call them out, Globe, at least 5 to 10 a day. It's just absurd. And they've also wanted the carriers to do the same thing over here, block these things. It's a lot easier to say it than it is to actually do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I got one of these today during my morning walk. And the thing about these, they're designed to make them as inconspicuous as possible. With mine, it was, oh, hi. I can't even forget the fake person's name they used. How you doing? Text me back. Well, what they want you to text back is, well, something, because then they know your number's active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got 2 this morning, Ben, and I get multiple spam SMS messages every single week.
Trying to sell you underpants.
They've given up on that.
Okay.
Yeah. So clearly, there's some AI involved in their methods.
Yeah, are you sure that wasn't just me and Patrice?
No, because it was different emojis.
Good point.
I was about to say, Jeff, you're probably just not their target market, So
not
right?
for underpants.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, not for underpants. So I may call myself out here. I'm not quite sure. I do use one of the apps that purports to block spam calls. And I find that because I've turned it off and turned it back on, and I find that it does. Not all of them by any means, no question about that, but it does definitely cut down on things. And so the question I have here is, if that's effective at all, why can't things be more effective at a higher level?
Money.
Exactly.
Is it just money?
It's more than money.
Information. Selling information, which I guess it leads back to money. I always wonder sometimes, how much do the carriers get involved with this too? I mean, I don't know for sure, but I've always just kind of wondered, like, how are you getting my information? Where are you getting my number from?
At the same time, every once in a while, one loses its connection. I got to, unplug it and plug it back in and have it reestablish its connection. That's my voice, but it wasn't me.
Yeah, that was you a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I just muted Mark. Mark Fuccio is joining us, but Mark, we're going to have to ask you to catch up a little bit because we were hearing something from Webb a while back. So, if you want to unmute yourself, hi. If you want to unmute yourself whenever you've got it under control.
Okay, yeah. Give me a minute. Let me plug in my Rode mic.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well, while he's doing that, Chuck, I will add a little bit to the whole. Doing this at a government level isn't going to help as much as people would like. There's this whole ongoing cat and mouse game, if you will, where companies like Hiya are working to find ways to block more spam, and then the spammers are finding ways to work around all of these fixes that come up, and it's just an ongoing escalating battle. And thinking that will change when governments get involved there might be some change, but it's not going to end these problems.
It won't.
To riff on what Kyle said, though, because Kyle, I've had exactly the same thoughts about whether or not, how involved could the carriers be? Is it in their best interests to protect people, or is it in their best interest to let the spam and the robocalls go run free?
I think at the end of the day, they're a carrier. I hate to say it, but I don't know if they even really actually care. You pay your bill on time, and you get your texts, you get your phone calls, you get, yeah, it sounds callous to say that, but it's just one of these things where I've always wondered. I don't give out my number. I mean, I just don't. I don't write it down. I don't put it on things. I don't even use it for web stuff. But somehow at 3:00 in the morning, somebody still wants to sell me a damn condo in Makati, and I don't know why. And I don't know where they got it from, and the only thing I can think of who really has my number. Well, and I know that I've given them my number because they gave it to me. That's the carrier.
Yeah, they don't need to get your number from anywhere. You just set up a computer that just runs through numbers. Yep. And then like what Ben said, when he gets a message like he got this morning, if he responds, now that system knows it's a valid in-use number, and now it gets sold to all the other spammers.
Right. But I've never responded because I always know that I'm not looking for a condo in Makati. Pretty happy where I'm at.
You would probably know. Yeah.
You and me both.
It's a nice area.
It is a nice area. It's too damn expensive though.
Eric, you threw something in the chat that I think is the way I feel.
You might not be able to block all the spam texts, but judging by, one of my phones that doesn't have any spam texts and the other one that does, there's a way to at least get some of them. And if there is a way for a carrier to identify spam text patterns, they should be required to block them without making it an add-on service that you pay for.
Yes.
And my hope is that that's really what the FCC is trying to accomplish, is to make sure that if there's a way to identify and stop texts and calls, that the carrier is responsible to do it and not try to monetize that as a service.
Dave, you put in our private chat that you that you apparently use T-Mobile Spam Shield.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that makes a difference?
It does, actually. I mean, I've just went into there today, and I haven't seen any spam calls come in the last week or so. And when they are, there's like maybe one or two as of late. I mean, there were flooded them before, but it seems to work pretty well.
Is that a service you pay for?
No, they have a free version, and they have more advanced. You pay for a version if you want to like do some more filtering and such. But the free version's been fine for me.
As a T-Mobile customer, I'll be trying that just as soon as my iPhone isn't being used as a camera.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like you just have to. All you have to do is download it and then just set it up.
What's it called?
It's free. Spam Shield for only T-Mobile customers.
Yeah, I'm showing Scam Shield. SCAM.
Excuse me, Scam Shield. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Scam Shield.
I think they're using Haya as the engine on the back end for that.
No, I didn't mistype that. My bad.
Dave, could I ask a question of clarification? Because I have T-Mobile. I don't think I've done anything to set up that service, but when calls coming in, if it's a scam call, I see scam likely. And
right.
So
sometimes
is that the message you see, or because it seems pretty good, and at the end of the day, I feel unfulfilled if I haven't gotten at least one call from my friend. Scam likely.
That says scam likely.
But I didn't do anything. It seems like maybe that's just a base part.
They come through. They do come through sometimes, and you see it when a call is coming in saying scam likely. But the Scam Shield app itself just filters it, and the call never comes through.
Oh, it never comes through. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now that I have you here, let's talk about your Medicare benefits.
Also,
and your
I need to talk about your car warranty. Oh, you read my mind.
Yeah. This MacVoices live session wraps up next time when we cover a number of different subjects, including rainfall in the Rockies. I'm still not exactly sure why. AI use, malware warfare, and a whole lot more. That's next time on MacVoices. We'll see you then. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.